Have you felt it every single day? That quiet pressure in your chest, that whisper inside your mind saying you're running out of time, out of chances, out of value. That's scarcity. It doesn't scream, it doesn't fight. It just drains you, slowly, silently, until you no longer see what's real. Most people don't even recognize it. They chase opportunities, they scroll endlessly, they compare their lives to others and call it ambition. But it's not ambition, it's scarcity disguised as drive. Scarcity is the invisible hand pulling your strings, controlling your choices. It makes you rush into bad deals. It makes you chase people who don't care. It makes you question your worth when someone else wins. It breaks your focus, kills your confidence, and convinces you that you're not enough. But here's the truth. It's not your fault. It's a system. A psychological trap designed to keep you chasing, craving, consuming. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He studied kings, generals, and rulers, and saw how scarcity could control entire nations. The weak get trapped by it. The strong use it. He once said, "He who becomes master of men's desires controls their power." That's the hidden law of power control, what people desire, and you control them. Today, I'm going to show you those rules. Today, you will learn how to stop being a slave to scarcity. Today, you will discover 6 Machiavellian shifts that turn lack into leverage. You'll learn how scarcity manipulates your thoughts, weakens your focus, and steals your peace. You'll learn how to turn that same force into your advantage. Because scarcity isn't just about money or time, it's about control. It controls minds, emotions, and actions. But once you understand it, you can break free. You can flip the game. You can make scarcity work for you. Imagine walking through chaos with calm eyes. Imagine watching others panic while you remain focused, unshaken, untouchable. That's what happens when you master the hidden law. This isn't a feel-good lesson. It's psychological warfare. You're about to face the truth that breaks most people, the truth that your fears, your doubts, your rush to have more all come from scarcity. But awareness is your weapon. Knowledge is your shield. From this moment, stop letting scarcity define you. Stop chasing what others say is rare. Power begins the moment you see clearly, the moment you stop reacting and start observing. Remember, scarcity only breaks the unprepared. You are not unprepared. You're ready to rise above it, to see what others can't, to move where others freeze. So take a deep breath. Focus. Because after today, you'll never look at life, success, or power the same way again. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I will see scarcity clearly and stay strong. Number 1. Scarcity controls the mind. Scarcity doesn't just live outside you, it lives inside your thoughts. It's not about having less, it's about feeling less. When your mind believes something is rare, it stops thinking clearly. It starts reacting. Scarcity makes you believe that what's limited must be valuable, that you must act fast or lose everything. That's the trap. It hijacks logic, replaces patience with panic, and drives you to make choices that serve fear instead of purpose. When scarcity takes hold, you stop observing reality and start chasing illusions. You rush into relationships just because you think love is running out. You buy things you don't need because you fear missing out. You accept less than you deserve because you think opportunities are rare. That's not reality. That's manipulation. Scarcity builds illusions that force people to surrender their power. The mind becomes a battlefield where fear fights reason. And most people lose because they don't even know they're at war. Machiavelli once said, "He who becomes master of men's desires controls their power." Think about that. If someone can make you desire something, they already own your decisions. That's how marketers, leaders, and manipulators move the masses. They create scarcity to control behavior. They whisper, limited offer, last chance, one spot left, and your brain stops thinking. It starts reacting. That's the psychological power of scarcity. It turns awareness into impulse. You're no longer leading your mind is being led. This is how people end up trapped in cycles of desperation, never satisfied, always chasing what feels just out of reach. The key to breaking free is awareness. Notice your reactions when something feels scarce. Ask yourself, is this real, or is it designed to make me act fast? Awareness gives you space. Space gives you power. When you step back, you see the game for what it is. You stop reacting. You start choosing. Scarcity loses its grip when you slow down, when you think, when you question. The powerful never rush. They observe. They calculate. They move only when it benefits them. Every strong strategist knows that scarcity is a weapon used by those who understand perception. And once you see that, you can no longer be manipulated. You'll recognize it in conversations, in business, in social media, in your own fears. Every time you feel urgency, ask yourself, who benefits from your reaction? If it's not you, it's control, disguised as opportunity. Remember, the mind under scarcity is like water under heat. It boils fast and spills everywhere. But the calm mind holds power. The world will always try to make you chase, compete, and rush. That's how it keeps you small. But when you master patience, you master perception, and perception shapes power. Machiavelli studied rulers who ruled not by wealth, but by control over emotion. That's the lesson. Control the emotional triggers, and you control outcomes. From now on, train your mind to see through the illusion. When you feel scarcity, pause. Think, detach. Because nothing is truly scarce when you control your mind. The person who stays calm when everyone else is running is the one who wins. So remember this, scarcity controls only those who let it. Stay awake, stay aware, stay in control. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see scarcity for what it is. Number 2, weak minds. Break, strong minds adapt. When scarcity strikes, the difference between breaking and adapting is the strength of your mind. Weak minds collapse under pressure because they let emotions take command. They panic, they rush, they seek escape. Strong minds pause, analyze, and act with precision. Scarcity tests everyone, but only those who remain calm gain control. The weak focus on loss, the strong focus on leverage. Scarcity doesn't destroy people, it exposes them. When resources shrink, when uncertainty rises, when fear spreads, most crumble. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack discipline. A weak mind is reactive. It follows fear's orders. A strong mind is strategic. It turns fear into data. Scarcity whispers, "You don't have enough," but a strong mind answers, "I will make enough." That's power. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does what he must. The foolish follows fear." That line is more than a quote. It's survival code. Every crisis reveals two types of people, reactors and thinkers. Reactors drown in emotion. Thinkers ride the wave. In business, investors who panic during a crash lose everything, while strategists wait, study, and seize opportunities. In life, the person who rushes under pressure usually regrets it later. Scarcity doesn't care who you are. It only cares how you think. The unprepared crumble because they never built mental armor. They trained for comfort, not for chaos. But scarcity rewards those who can adapt, who can think clearly when the world shakes. Adaptation is strength under pressure. It means turning uncertainty into advantage, turning limitation into innovation. When something becomes scarce, most people compete to grab it. But strong minds create alternatives. They shift focus from what's missing to what's possible. That's how power is built, through flexibility, not fear. The moment you adapt, you take control of the situation. Scarcity feeds on panic, and panic feeds on ignorance. But clarity breaks the chain. Ask yourself this: when pressure hits, do you freeze or do you plan? That single question separates weakness from mastery. Scarcity is not your enemy. Your reaction is: train your thoughts to slow down when things speed up. Train your emotions to stay grounded when everyone else shakes. The calm mind always finds the path others miss. History proves this again and again. Rulers, thinkers, leaders who thrived during crisis were not immune to fear. They just knew how to manage it. Machiavelli observed that fortune favors the prepared mind. Strength is not the absence of fear, it's control in the presence of it. Every time you resist panic, you reclaim power. Every time you think before reacting, you sharpen your edge. The world respects those who stay unshaken. The crowd may call you cold or emotionless, but strength has no room for noise. Adaptation is evolution in action. The mind that bends never breaks. That's how you rise when others fall. That's how you gain control in chaos. Remember, scarcity will always test you, but your reaction will define you. When others lose focus, you hold your ground. When others surrender to emotion, you lead with clarity. The more pressure you face, the more power you gain, if you refuse to break. Stay centered, stay deliberate, stay sharp. The world belongs to the ones who can adapt faster than fear. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose strategy over fear. Number 3. Scarcity creates false value. Scarcity doesn't just control action, it controls perception. When something is rare, the mind assigns it power, importance, and desire, even if it's worthless. People will pay more, chase harder, and risk more for things that have no true value simply because they appear limited. Scarcity turns ordinary objects into treasures, trends into obsessions, and fads into frenzies. The mind equates rarity with necessity and scarcity with superiority. It's a deception that plays on instinct. Limited editions sell out not because they're better, but because scarcity manipulates the mind into believing they are viral sensations, explode not because of real merit, but because people perceive them as rare, exclusive, and desirable. Scarcity inflates importance where none exists. That's why social proof, hype, and competition are so effective. They trigger the brain's scarcity alarm, and suddenly everyone is racing to acquire something that may not even matter. Machiavelli once said, "Perception creates power, not possession. Power is always about how something is seen, not what it truly is. If people believe it is valuable, it becomes valuable." Scarcity engineers desire and shapes behavior by making people overestimate worth. This is why fads explode overnight, why limited offers trigger urgency, and why people overpay for things they don't need. Scarcity is the magician that tricks minds into misjudging reality. The dangerous part is that people rarely question this. They follow the herd, chase the illusion, and sacrifice time, energy, and money on false promises. The lesson is simple. Evaluate everything critically. Just because something is rare doesn't mean it's important. Just because everyone wants it doesn't mean it serves you. Scarcity inflates ego, feeds envy, and distracts from true opportunity. Those who understand this can step back and see the truth beneath the illusion. They see value for what it is, not what scarcity makes it appear. Mini stories prove this every day. A collectible item sells for thousands, yet it has no real use. A viral challenge commands attention, yet it teaches nothing. People obsess over status symbols, limited time offers, or trending gadgets while ignoring long-term growth, skills, and relationships that actually matter. Awareness is your shield. Question perception. Ask yourself, am I chasing this because it's scarce or because it's truly meaningful? Scarcity loses power the moment you detach your judgment from desire. You see the trap and refuse to fall into it. This mindset transforms how you approach life, business, and relationships. It teaches patience, discernment, and clarity. The false value created by scarcity is everywhere, but so is the opportunity to see it for what it is. Stop letting hype dictate your choices. Stop letting rarity fool your mind. Real power comes from understanding reality, not reacting to perception. When you learn to identify the illusions that scarcity creates, you no longer compete blindly. You choose what is truly valuable. You focus on what builds you, not what distracts you. This is the path from manipulation to mastery. Scarcity may create false value, but your insight creates real power. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I value truth over scarcity. Number 4. Make yourself scarce to gain power. Scarcity doesn't just influence desire externally. It works internally when you learn to use it deliberately. Being everywhere, available to everyone, and constantly visible diminishes influence. When people are always accessible, their presence loses weight. Power thrives in rarity. The more elusive you become, the more attention and respect you command. People chase what they cannot easily have. Leaders, innovators, and influential figures understand this instinctively. They protect their time, energy, and focus. They appear selectively, speak sparingly, and act with intention. Scarcity amplifies perception. If you are rare, people assign more value to your actions, your words, and your presence. Machiavelli once said, "Appear rare, and you will be desired." This is not manipulation, it's strategic positioning. Scarcity in presence creates leverage. Every time you decline unnecessary requests, every time you pause before committing, you assert control over attention. People begin to notice. They respect boundaries. They weigh interactions carefully because access is limited. Influence grows without effort when availability is managed wisely. The key is self-discipline. Protecting your time and energy is not selfish. It is strategic. When you give everything to everyone, you leave nothing for yourself. When you limit access, your contributions, ideas, and presence gain weight. Scarcity creates anticipation. The longer someone waits, the more they value the eventual encounter. This is how leaders turn simple appearances into authority and reputation. Businesses apply the same principle. Limited edition releases, exclusive memberships, and carefully timed launches generate desire because access is controlled. People equate rarity with superiority. Your personal life works the same way. Be selective with attention, with commitments, with promises. When you are not always available, you force others to respect your value. Scarcity teaches patience to observers and strength to you. It builds leverage in negotiations, relationships, and opportunities. It is a tool to assert control over your environment without aggression. Understanding this requires discipline. You must resist the temptation to overcommit or overshare. Social media, constant notifications, and relentless connectivity erode scarcity. To be powerful, you must reclaim it. Your focus, time, and energy are finite. Guard them. Make people work to earn your presence. Let them feel your absence before they experience your engagement. That is the essence of influence. The perception of rarity generates respect, admiration, and desire. It turns ordinary interactions into valuable moments. Scarcity creates weight, authority, and leverage that cannot be bought. It elevates ideas, decisions, and leadership. People naturally chase what they cannot easily reach. Your presence becomes a silent signal of power. The world underestimates those who step back, who limit exposure, who appear strategically. Yet those are the ones who shape perception, control attention, and gain influence effortlessly. Scarcity in action is mastery over attention, the currency of modern power. Recognize that giving less can generate more. Protecting yourself does not make you weak, it makes you formidable. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my presence and my power. Number 5. Emotional mastery against scarcity. Scarcity is not just external. It attacks from within by triggering emotions that cloud judgment and provoke impulsive actions. Fear, envy, anxiety, and frustration rise when resources, time, or opportunities appear limited. People panic, make hasty decisions, and surrender control because they allow feelings to override reason. Emotional mastery is the antidote. It transforms pressure into clarity, tension into strategy, and panic into calculated response. Those who dominate their inner state remain unshaken, while others crumble. Scarcity loses its power over a mind that is disciplined and aware. Every emotional spike is a signal, not a command. Awareness separates reaction from choice. Machiavelli once said, "He who controls himself controls the situation." This is the core principle. Mastery over self translates to mastery over circumstance. When scarcity triggers anxiety, pause, reflect, identify the emotion, but do not act on it blindly. Notice the urge to grab, to chase, to fill a perceived void. That is exactly what scarcity wants. It thrives on impulsive behavior, on emotional weakness. Emotional mastery teaches you to observe these impulses without surrendering to them. You create a space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space lies power. In life, those who panic in negotiations lose leverage. In finance, those who react to scarcity sell at the wrong moment. In relationships, those who allow fear to dictate action accept less than they deserve. Calmness under scarcity transforms weakness into authority. It allows you to see opportunities others miss because their vision is clouded by emotion. Strength lies not in suppressing feelings, but in understanding them and choosing action deliberately. Train yourself to breathe, to measure, to act with clarity. Emotional discipline is a skill cultivated through repetition and awareness. Scarcity will continue to pressure, but the mind trained to master its response becomes a fortress. You decide when to engage, when to wait, when to act. You remain unmoved by hysteria, hype, and social pressure. Observing others succumbing to scarcity reinforces the lesson. Fear never builds power. Control does. Emotional mastery is also preventive. By controlling reactions, you prevent scarcity from gaining momentum in your life. You anticipate triggers and neutralize them before they escalate. The world will always attempt to provoke desire, envy, and urgency. Your task is to remain unshaken. Every decision becomes deliberate, every action intentional. In this way, scarcity no longer dictates behavior. It becomes a landscape where you navigate confidently. Power is a product of perception, action, and composure. Emotional mastery transforms scarcity from threat to advantage. The calmer you remain, the sharper your observations, the stronger your strategy, and the greater your influence. Never allow scarcity to dominate your emotional state. Harness your awareness, guide your thoughts, lead your actions. Every challenge that triggers desire or fear is an opportunity to reinforce discipline. Those who fail are swept away by waves of emotion. Those who master themselves surf above them. Scarcity may pressure everyone, but only the controlled mind thrives. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I master my mind, not scarcity. Number 6. Turn scarcity into your weapon. Scarcity can be feared or harnessed. Those who fear it crumble. Those who understand it dominate. The secret is simple. Perception is reality. When people believe something is rare, it becomes more desirable. Every leader, every successful entrepreneur, every influencer uses this truth to their advantage. Scarcity can amplify reputation, authority, and influence if applied strategically. Imagine a product, a skill, or an opportunity that seems limited. People immediately assign value to it because they cannot have it freely. That is power in its purest form. Machiavelli once said, "All power comes from perception. Control perception. Control power." This is exactly how scarcity becomes a weapon. It is not just about limiting resources. It is about shaping the way others perceive your importance. When you understand that, you gain leverage over attention, desire, and decision-making. Scarcity can create anticipation. If you withhold, others chase. If you delay, others value. If you appear selective, others respect. Every limitation you introduce, whether in time, availability, or access, signals authority. It forces people to recognize your worth. Businesses do this constantly. Limited releases, exclusive memberships, pre-orders. Leaders do it instinctively. Strategic absence, reserved communication, carefully timed interventions. Individuals can wield scarcity in personal and professional life too. Protect your time, restrict unnecessary access, and prioritize what matters. By making yourself a scarce resource, you influence how others treat you, how seriously they take your words, and how deeply they value your presence. Scarcity used skillfully creates leverage in negotiations. It ensures your options are respected. It ensures your boundaries are acknowledged. It turns attention into currency. Scarcity also drives competition without aggression. When others perceive you as rare, they compete for access, ideas, and approval. This is influence without force. The mind recognizes rarity as worth, and desire aligns with opportunity. Strategic scarcity allows you to guide behavior without coercion. The key is balance. If you overuse scarcity, people feel excluded or frustrated. If you underuse it, your presence loses weight. Timing, consistency, and perception are critical. Turn scarcity into a tool that shapes outcomes. Anticipate reactions, observe patterns, and apply restraint where it counts. Use scarcity to elevate your value, not manipulate for ego. The world constantly pressures you to overexpose, overcommit, and overshare. Resist it. Protect what you control. Limit access to what matters. Every time you apply scarcity intentionally, you increase respect, authority, and influence. The perception of limitation creates desire, and desire drives engagement. Those who understand this principle dominate attention, inspire loyalty, and command resources. Scarcity becomes a weapon only when it is applied consciously and strategically. It is the edge between ordinary and extraordinary. Mastery over scarcity is mastery over influence, power, and opportunity. The difference between being followed and being chased, between being ignored and being respected, lies in how scarcity is wielded. Recognize it, control it, and transform it into advantage. Scarcity will break the unprepared, but the wise use it to rise above the crowd. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I convert scarcity into power. You've learned how scarcity controls minds, fractures the weak, creates false value, and how it can be turned into power when mastered. Every point shows one truth. Awareness is strength, discipline is freedom, and strategy is survival. Scarcity will always test you, but it does not have to break you. Apply these lessons deliberately, one at a time, and watch your perception, influence, and control grow. Protect your time, guard your mind, manage your emotions, and use scarcity strategically to elevate your presence and authority. Power is built quietly, through patience, observation, and calculated action. The world may push urgency, hype, and fear, but you now know how to rise above. Use this hidden law ethically and responsibly. Practice consistently. Observe reactions. Adapt to challenges. Comment your affirmations, reinforce your mindset, and claim control over scarcity instead of letting it claim you. Every choice you make from awareness strengthens your position. You are no longer reactive. You are deliberate. Scarcity is no longer a threat, but a tool. Like, share, and subscribe to stay vigilant and sharpen your power daily. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I master scarcity and turn it into power.